In the Treta Yuga, there was a king named Sweta. And in the mood of Maharaj Indradyumna of the Satya Yuga, he would offer the best of everything in his kingdom in the loving service of Lord Jagannath. But because he was such a loving devotee, Jagannath allowed him to actually witness how the demigods were coming to make offerings to Jagannath. Now, as a devotee, instead of being proud and saying, just see, I am so great, I see the demigods coming, he was humbled. He was thinking that the devas are making such beautiful offerings, and my offerings are totally insignificant in comparison. Because he was so humbled and felt so insignificant in the presence of such great persons, Lord Jagannath was even more pleased with him. And he allowed Swetas to see how the Murti of Lakshmi was making the most loving offerings to the Lord. And by Jagannath's arrangement, the form of Sweta Madhava was installed near this tank, which was later called the Sweta Ganga. Now, the history of this place is very connected to one very great Vaishnavi. Her name was Ganga Mata Goswami. She was a princess, the daughter, an only child of a Naresh Narayan, who was the Zamindar, which in those days was a wealthy landowner who acted like a small king, who could make laws and rule over an entire province. It was in the province of Rajashahi, which is today in Bangladesh, and she lived in the kingdom of Puntia. She had such natural, spontaneous devotion to Krishna. She gave her heart to Krishna from her earliest childhood. And when she started growing older, her parents wanted to arrange for her marriage, but she had no interest in giving her heart to anyone but Krishna. She was an extraordinary soul, and they could not force her. So they were in distress. And as the years went by, her parents passed away, and she became the queen of Puntia. And she ruled very fairly, because she saw everything was Krishna's property, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, and everyone was Krishna's child. So she ruled as the servant of the Lord and the servant of all living beings. And eventually, she assigned some of her ministers to take control over the kingdom, and she came on pilgrimage to Jagannath Puri. After being blessed by Lord Jagannath, she walked all the way to Vrindavan. And there had the darshan of Sri Govinda, the deity of Sri Rupa Goswami. At that time, the pujari of Govindaji, his name was Haridas Pandit. He had such transcendental qualities. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami writes about him in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. He was so gentle, very forgiving and tolerant. He respected and loved everyone. And how he worshipped Krishna with such devotion. Madbhakta Pujabhyadika. A perfect pujari is one who sees Krishna within the heart of every living being and honors and worships Krishna in everyone's heart. Then only does the deity on the altar actually find deep pleasure in our offerings. He was a very ocean of divine Vaishnava qualities. He was a disciple of Ananta Acharya, who was a direct disciple of Gadadhar Pandit from the Tota Gopinath temple here in Puri. These devotees, they were adoshadarshi. They were never concerned with seeing the faults in anyone. They saw everyone as a part and parcel of Krishna and would never hear criticism. Haridas Pandit, how is it that he would never have any inclination to speak or hear the criticism of anyone? Param Drisvani Vartate, because he was experiencing the higher taste of constantly describing from Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat by Vrindavan Das Thakur the glories of Lord Chaitanya and his devotees. And the people of Vrindavan, they would love to gather around Haridas Pandit to hear the transcendental narrations of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life and teachings. Saci-devi, the princess of Puntia, she became very deeply attached to the grace of Haridas Pandit. And she requested initiation from him. But he was a renunciate. And she was extremely wealthy. How can I give initiation to you? But she was willing to give up everything for the mercy of the Lord. In order to show her sincerity, she gave away all of her nice dresses, all of her jewelry, all of her wealth, everything. And just put on a simple white cloth. And for her sustenance, she did madhukari. She became a beggar. Seeing the genuine sincerity of Saci-devi, Haridas Pandit sent her to live at Radha-kunda with another one of his disciples, who happened to be Saci-devi's aunt. Her name was Lakshmi Priya. And there together, they perfectly lived in pure devotion and renunciation. They chanted minimum 200,000 names of Krishna every single day. They were constantly immersed in speaking the glories of Krishna with each other, serving the vaishnavas, doing parikrama of Sri Giriraja. Haridas Pandit was pleased and gave her initiation. But then he sent her away from Radha-kunda and sent her away from Vrindavan. He wanted her to do seva. He said in Jagannath Puri, that holy place where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, is in ruins. Since Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed from this world, and since Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya passed from this world, Haridasa Pandit said, I have heard news that that holy place is crumbling and neglected. You should go to Puri. Restore the sanctity and the glory of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's house. And remain there, rendering service to Lord Jagannath and the devotees.
You were listening to Radhanath Swami on devotionalnectar.com.